Hi, I'm Tyler Crook, artist of Harrow County and BPRD, and you're listening to Southern Fried Geekery.
1, 2, 3.
Like, can we talk about how not everything on the internet that claims to be news is really news?
What? Get the fuck out of here with that.
I read it on the internet. It's true.
Like, the more I see people, and no offense to anybody out there, because
No,
I get it. You see things, you get excited about it, but an opinion is one thing, and it's okay to see an opinion and want to post about the opinion. But when you post a website that is a fucking WordPress blog, and nothing against WordPress. I used to have a WordPress blog. It was a blog. Okay. But when you post one that's from one of these WordPress things that they've paid the extra money to not have the word WordPress beside it, and it's just an opinion that they're spinning as news, quit talking about it like it's real news. No, Warner Brothers is not gonna go out of their way to contact WeLikeTV.net org piece. They're gonna call fucking Entertainment Weekly to release news. Like, this is
Well, I mean, and it's the same thing as like the political ones when you have people posting like from myfreedomeagle.flag.net. You know it's not fucking, it's a slanted opinion.
My Freedom Eagle.
And here's the thing, and on that one, like, op-eds are fine. I read op-eds all the time. It's okay to post an op-ed, but again, like, an opinion is not news. Yes. An opinion on film companies or comic companies or any of these things are not news, especially when and this is the problem with clickbait stuff, because when you read through and when you actually read the article and they're like, well, we have no proof of this. This just sounds like a really cool idea, but we think it would be awesome. But the headline is Marvel is doing something, and people just see the headline. So I guess my grumpy complaint this morning is twofold. Number one, opinions aren't news. Number two, read the goddamn article. That's where I'm at in life.
People aren't going to do that.
I'm okay with J.J. Abrams running the DCU.
Oh no, I think
until it's officially announced, though.
Yeah. Well, and so on that particular thing, were you part of that group text?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, so some website that is like lower tier than Bleeding Cool.
Okay, yes, I was on that.
On the rumor text, like, post this thing where J.J. Abrams and
James Gunn.
Were like super 100% solidly. It's been announced going to be the people who orchestrate Warner Brothers, the DC movies. And it's just like, you read the article and it's like, I mean, so James Gunn is directing this one movie, and we know that Warner Brothers has hired J.J. Abrams to do other stuff, so we think it'd be a cool idea if they would both do DC movies. There's no, like, they had nothing that said.
J.J. Abrams is pretty firmly entrenched in the Marvel.
Dude's Star Wars.
Wars stuff right
Dude's
now.
puppeteering Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that he's on the short list to replace Kathleen Kennedy as the Kevin Feige of Star Wars. It would not surprise me.
And again, like I said in that group text, like, this could be a true rumor. Like, Bleeding Cool posts rumors all the time that end up being true. But they're only news in hindsight. When you post 1,000 rumors and one of them ends up being true, you're just winning the numbers game.
It's the Nostradamus of comic book news.
Yeah.
Hey, Nostradamus is real. I couldn't even say that with a straight face.
Craig's part of the Illuminati. He's the thing. Well, you guys want to do a podcast?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, we're here. We got the mics on.
We might as well, right?
We may as well talk about.
We've actually been talking for like an hour. We got here super early and just decided to have conversations.
Sorry, Tony. The store will probably we'll probably still be recording when he shows up to.
Yeah, we might be, but I mean, that being said, we're a 3-man podcast today, so it might go faster than we think it is. This is episode 90 of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast, and I am Caleb Alexander McKenzie, and thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Matt Trogdon.
And I'm Craig Lance.
Awesome. My booze. Glad we're here. We
Boo, like with an S, or boo with a Z-E?
I thought he said Z-E too.
Oh, no. That's for tonight. That's it. It's not,
already thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's not 10:30 yet. I'm like McDonald's. You can't have nuggets or whiskey before 10:30. That's just
all wrong.
That's McDonald's rule. I don't make it. I think it's an abomination. Like, I want nuggets at 7 a.m. I want fucking nuggets at 7 a.m.
We're all just living in McDonald's world.
It's true. We're just renting space, man.
You know how many people legit think that you can't have breakfast after 10:30 in the morning?
That's a stupid rule. That's a bad rule.
7 people. Yeah, 7 people believe that.
That was
Matt.
very specific.
That is exactly that. How did you know that? That was exactly the number of people that believe that.
Read that on the internet.
Yeah. From myblog.com.
Yeah.
Flag.net, Freedom Eagle.
hardamfoodopinions.org.
Yeah.
Well, contrary to the last 5 minutes of really great banter, what you may not know, what you may not be able to infer from that is we are a comic book podcast. We get together once a week. We talk about comics that we've read. We talk about news. We talk about what's going on in the world every once in a blue moon, or every once in a month, I guess.
In the world of geekdom.
True.
Yeah. Sometimes we get political.
Oh, no, I'm definitely going to tell you about what happened in the White House this week. No. You're not going to believe this. But no, anyway. We also answer listener questions that we pull from our Facebook group, which you can be a part of if you're listening to this show and you're not. We encourage you. We ask you. Kind of beg you a little bit. Come hang out with us online. Be part of our digital community. We would really appreciate it. And you can find that. You know how you can find that? I'm going to tell you. You go to Facebook. You click that little search bar. You click it. Click it real good. And you type in Southern Fried Geekery Podcast. And we're going to show up. And then you click like. And it's going to send us a thing. It's going to give you a questionnaire. You answer the 3 questions. And that lets us know you're not a robot or the Russians. And then we add you to our group. And then you're part of the familia. Then you're part of the Southern Fried fam. And we would welcome you with open arms.
Yes.
That's right.
All of those things.
And Craig is there. That's the best part, is Craig is there.
Best, worst, it's something. It's a part of it.
Matt exists, but he's just kind of he's a phantom that floats in the ether that doesn't have a profile picture.
Yeah, that's true.
He's worried that the people are watching him.
They are, man. They are.
They're just selling your stuff. It's okay. But this week, we are going to kick off our show, as we always do, by talking about a comic. We roundtable a comic. Every single person at this table has read this comic, or at least in theory, maybe. And we're going to talk about King Thor as our roundtable. But before we get to that, we're going to just kind of set the mood. Just get a little mood thing going by going through what we call the short stacks.
We must have more faith in our producer over there.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't trust me.
We were both side.
I mean, if you go back and listen to all the episodes, I've only let you down 7 times. With the 7 people who don't believe in breakfast in the AMs. Only 7 times. I have a very small precedent for fucking up. I do it occasionally, but I try not to. But we're just going to get started by dropping what we call our short stacks. These are 3 things that we've read this week. We are all voracious readers of the funny books and of just readers, period, in general. And so we're going to tell you kind of what we read this week and what we enjoyed or didn't enjoy. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like everything. Well, Craig, why don't you kick us off on that? What did you read this week, dude?
Okay, so the first one I read, well, it's not the first book I read, but the first one I'm going to talk about is Star Wars Age of Resistance Supreme Leader Snoke from Marvel Comics with Tom Taylor, Leonard Kirk, whose parents obviously were Star Trek fans.
Very nice.
Hey, before you do that, I remembered why I did what I did when I talked about that. I was going to say spoiler warning.
Oh,
so
yeah.
These are all stuff. That's why I went the way I did, and then I forgot about it. So
Okay.
Spoiler warning for some of these books are new, and definitely the King Thor book is new. So if you haven't read it, just bear in mind, I don't want to ruin anybody's day. So sorry, I did not.
No,
mean to
you're all
interrupt.
good. So
I'm on the ball today.
Tom Taylor, Leonard Kirk, Travis Layham, and Guru Effects.
Nice.
We finally get some of Kylo Ren's training story in this book, and I loved every second of it. What I didn't love is that the book ended too soon and it's just one shot. I want more of this story. So I'm hoping that we get it at some point. Reaver #2 from Image Comics. This book's actually a couple of weeks old, but I'm just getting around to reading it. Justin Jordan, Rebecca Isaacs, and Alex Guimarães. I can't remember the woman's name, the girl's name in that, but the Skin Eater girl, the psychotic girl.
Raquel?
Yeah. She is maybe my favorite Justin Jordan creation ever.
I called it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that girl she is so much freaking fun in that story.
Wait till you get to issue 3.
Well, some reason I didn't get signed up on it, but I get my books from Justin anyway, so it'll be here at the beginning of the month when I'll get it. So, and then Pretty Deadly the Rat by Image Comics. Kelly Sue DeConnick. She should change her name to Kelly Sue DeConnick.
She is the comics.
Yes.
She really is.
Emma Rios and Jordi Belair and Clayton Cowles. He did not go by VC's Clayton Cowles in this book. He just went by Clayton Cowles. This is a crime story where the protagonist of the story ends up meeting one of the Reapers, and it's not the Grim Reaper, it's another Reaper. because there's different Reapers for different things. So, it's kind of volume 2, but if you didn't read Pretty Deadly, you won't be lost reading this book. It's really good. I think it's something Matt would probably enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hang on, I have to go throw up a WordPress blog article stating that Clayton Cowles has obviously quit VC because of news.
And now on his own.
And that because he wasn't posting that, and I have no reason that it might not be true.
That's right.
That's news.
That's news. Not an opinion at all.
I hope Matt listens to this episode. I really do, as I'm texting him. Sorry, the shade is real today, y'all.
So yeah, that was my short stack.
Nice. What'd you read this week, dude?
So
I say dude like I'm looking at Matt. People don't know that. I'm not podcasting over there. I'm sorry, y'all. This
It's
is
a
what law
visual
school has
format.
done.
Oh wait, it's not.
no, thank God it's not. So the first book I'm going to talk about was Marvel's Moon Knight Annual #1. Cullen Bunn, Ibrahim Mustafa, Matt Horick, and Mike Spicer. This was I like this one shot. It was interesting, Kang was in it, and it was basically it approached Kang, his time travel activities, and that Khonshu. I'm going to screw that up.
Yeah, I always mess up.
Yeah, that he also oversees the travelers' time as well. So it was a pretty interesting and clever weaving of the two characters as far as Moon Knight and Kang, I have to say. And it was a fun little one shot. It was definitely worth reading.
I thought it was interesting that they called it an annual when there's not an ongoing right now.
Gotta call it something.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could have called it a one shot or something. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. But either way, I didn't pick up that book. I really am wanting somebody to do a Moon Knight like reboot like they did with Hawkman.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be
good.
give us a
that'd
clear
be really
continuity of them. But anyway, sorry to interrupt your short stay.
So I'm going to bring this next book up because I want to know you guys' opinion about it. I read DC's Batman #78, Tom King, Clay Mann, and Tommy Mori.
Magnum PI?
Yeah.
Batnum PI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hated this issue.
Yeah.
I hated it greatly.
Yeah. I there was like 5 pages in the middle, and then the last page I liked. All the rest of it was pure and total hot junk. I agree.
Tom King needs to own it and just write a romance novel and get it out of his system.
No, that's what he's doing with Bat and Cat.
And Clay Mann drew Bruce Wayne as Tom Magnum PI.
Yeah.
So something fucking interesting might happen in the issue.
And then you had Rick even from Magnum PI, the bartender.
Yeah.
Was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless Clay Mann for trying
not,
to make this
not
issue
slitting his wrist.
This is fucking excruciating to read.
Damn.
It was not good.
It's one big cock tease. In one panel, they push each other's tongue around. I'm just like, what the fuck am I reading here?
Yeah.
This is awful.
And then issue 79 comes out this week, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even giving us 2 weeks to the next one.
No, please make me forget about this issue. Bring me 79.
They were fast tracking it. I haven't read it yet. It's on the bottom of my stack.
Leave it there.
It's not been picked. I was kind of, that bums me out though. I was kind of excited after you said this one was 79, correct?
This was 78.
78. I really want to know what happened after the big barn burner that was 77.
Yeah.
You don't know?
Yeah, that's what I'm taking is that it doesn't tell you.
It does not.
Yeah.
It goes on to...
Let me tell you what happens. Nothing.
Some romance.
Fifis.
Fifis.
Frustrating Fifis.
Matt does not like the feelings.
It's okay that they have a story building because he's building up to Bat and Cat.
Yeah. Well,
and that's what they should call the fucking book because I got tired of hearing them fucking say Bat and Cat through this issue.
I just can't.
You might not have had to get this issue if somebody else hadn't have, backdoored the writer and gotten him kicked off of his 100 issue book like a bitch. But I don't want to say any names. But that's just what it is.
God damn it. Anywho,
like a buddy of mine said on the internet, I'm going to steal his quote: "Rose before Mark ass Busters." That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I also read. Moving on. At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft, written in 1931. I'm working my way through the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. This is some fascinatingly weird stuff, man. Writing this, him coming up with this stuff and, the early 1900s. It's really, I'm reading this, I'm like, how did this not catch on like a freight train back then? This being so bizarre. in creative. I mean, look, and yes, the guy's socially abhorrent.
Yeah.
He is, but this stuff is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring this story up specifically because, of course, this is the one that Guillermo del Toro wants to make a movie of. You know, he has pitched this twice to make a movie, and I'm just sitting there putting this together in my mind.
If anybody can pull it off, it's Del Toro.
Dude.
It'll be beautiful.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I didn't realize he'd pitched that twice. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you give Lovecraft the same credit that, like, I would say Tolkien gets for fantasy? Because I feel like it kind of started with the Gothic horror in the late 1800s.
Yeah, you know, Edgar Allan Poe and such deserves the credit. You know, H.P. Lovecraft just had a bigger body of work, and he just cranked it up to like 11. He took the weird and went in directions, and him going and his whole creation of the old ones, the elder ones, and however you want to call it, this Cthulhu thing. It's fascinating to think about. You know, when you read this, and you know, it's because like this city that they find in the Antarctic in this Mountains of Madness story is millions of years old, and it's it describes how that happened, and it's fascinating to read.
I'd have to go back and look at the dates, but I thought I've always been under the impression that Poe and that Lovecraft were contemporaries.
No.
Or then was Poe prior?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, I guess in my brain, I just always.
And I know that
it's after the
Stoker and Shelley were.
They were much before.
Yeah.
They were much before. Yeah. Okay. That's news. I didn't realize that. Okay. Cool. I have to commit that to memory.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I've got that volume or the book, a hardback of that, and I need to read them. I just haven't had the time to sit down and read.
Yeah, I've done nothing this week but sit down and read, but none of it was comics. All of
Tell
it.
us about the torch you read this week. Let me tell you,
you guys ready for this invigorating treatise on Arkansas property law that I'm about to give you?
I'm okay. Yeah.
No, I did get to read a couple of things. While I was in my office and I needed a break because I was going cross-eyed, I looked over and saw my stack of unread books that I've got piled up by my chair. And on the top of that stack was Red One, Volume 1 and 2. Now, I haven't read the second one yet. I need to. But Red One, if you don't know, was a book put out by Image. It's written by Xavier Dorn and beautifully, beautifully, beautifully drawn on the page by Terry and Rachel Dodson. It's essentially, there is a Russian sleeper agent in America trying to stop this very alt-right, religious, fascist criminal guy that is being viewed by some sects of the community as a superhero. So I guess essentially it's like Westboro Baptist Church man is killing brown people and gay people, and there's a little religious woman who is really into that, and so she's pushing it. So this Russian sleeper agent comes and like instills herself in the world to become a superhero, Red One, and to push back against that. It was
really
awesome.
good. I read it as it came out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you'd read that. Sweet.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I also read, I got caught up. I was, I think 2 issues behind. I got caught up on Green Lantern by Grant Morrison, Liam Sharp, and Steve Olaf. This latest issue was amazeballs.
Yeah, I agree. I've been hearing complaints on the internet about it. About Green
What?
Yeah, about Green Lantern. And I'm like, I don't know what they're reading, but I'm loving every moment of it.
It's look, I'm not trying to, I'm throwing a little bit of shade, but these might be coming from people that it's going over their head because it is Morrison.
Yeah.
And he's doing a lot, like there's a stoner Green Lantern from another.
That dude is the fucking best, man.
It's awesome.
There's some lines in the last issue where, like, Hal Jordan's like, oh, it's good to know Batman's an asshole in every dimension.
I love that panel.
There's a Batman Green Lantern.
Well, and it's the Batman Green Lantern that came out of the DC Metal stuff.
Yeah.
It's being used great. It's excellent. Excellent book.
Everything about this book's good. The art, the colors, the writing.
It cracked I was cracking my shit up.
Yeah.
This is good Grant Morrison, and there's a lot of bad Grant Morrison, but this ain't it.
Yeah.
And then finally, last but not least for my short stack, I got caught up on Ronan Island by Greg Pak and Milo Giannis, which is kind of this, we spoke about it on the show before. It's kind of this all ages story. There's a Pan-Asian community. There's a little bit of, they're called Boinan, but they're actually actually just like weird zombies. There's an asshole emperor. I mean, it's using a lot of these Pan-Asian tropes, but they're including cultures that are, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, a little bit of a samurai Ronin story. I think they're heading towards, I don't think it's a love story, but there's a male-female friendship that they're overcoming. There's a class issue. It's really good writing. And the cool thing about this is I'm entertained by it as a 31-year-old man, and I would give this book to like my 10-year-old niece and be like, here, have fun with this. It's great.
I dropped off that book. I'm glad it's still going.
Yeah, it's still going strong. Like I said, I'd let the issues pile up a little bit, so I breezed through 3 of them. Fun times.
Yeah, for sure.
Good stuff all around. And all of those books, like I said, you can find them because they've all been out. But on our table in front of us right now is a book lovingly titled King Thor that I think we all read, all 3 of us at the table. And we're going to talk about it. Y'all ready?
Yeah, let's talk about King Thor.
Let's do this. So I'm going to give you a real brief and breezy overview, like the 30,000 foot overview of what the story was. We're in the future. Dun, dun, dun. This is the time. Yeah, like we're reaching the end point. And Thor is no longer the Thor as we know it. He's the All-Father, and everything, like Craig said, end of time, man. Everything that we know is dead. But the cool thing is Thor has got some granddaughters, and all of this is spinning out of Jason Aaron's stories from the other Thor book. And it's killer.
Gods of Thunder is where all this started.
Right, yeah. It goes way back.
God
Dude,
of Thunder.
He has weaved one hell of a web, and it's culminating in this book that's written by him and painted by Esad Ribic, who is just next level. Just completely next level in his art. So this book starts out, Thor's 3 granddaughters they have traveled to this place called Omnipotence City, and they're looking for answers to why, number one, like what they can do about the universe dying, because that's what's happening. The universe is coming to an end.
Well, they keep calling it the what we know is coming,
right?
Or something like that.
Yeah. Which it sounds a lot like Ragnarok, like the final Ragnarok. But these sisters named Frigg, Elisif, and Attili, they've been putting in some work, man. Like they've been hustling, and they have revitalized the planet Earth, kind of in honor of their grandfather. Like the human race had died out, they kickstarted it back up, and so they're afraid of all of their.
Thor restarted Earth.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, he jumpstarted. Sometimes
that happened in one of the other Thor.
Gotcha.
books,
Yeah. Well, they've cultivated it.
Yeah,
like they've
they are definitely doing the work. He's just kind of not there, but he restarted Midgard.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So they're looking for answers in this library, and like you said, all the gods are gone. Life as we know it in the universe is over, and all the planets, in the 9 realms, now there used to be 10. All the planets in the 9 realms are kind of decaying, except for the ones that they're like actively watching over. And so they've gone to this place to seek it out. And even the librarian of this place is dead, but it's being looked over by, I guess, a lesser god who has kind of forgot what he used to be the god of. Like he's just kind of there and not dying, and kind of he sweeps the floors. And he's also curious about why these 3 Asgardian women have showed up and what they might want. And while all this is going on, the impending doom, the onset threat that's happening is Loki, Thor's brother, that guy. He's been taken over by this force called the All Black. And the All Black is this, it's a weapon, that it was created by the symbiote god Null. And created by him, forged in the fires of a dying celestial. And at one point in time, it was wielded by a guy that came damn near close to wiping the floor with Thor. So much, in fact, that Thor had to get one of his past selves and a future Thor to beat him. And that guy was none other.
And his granddaughters.
And his granddaughters. None other than Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah.
And Loki's been taken over by this. And so the worst parts of Loki are being brought through. Thor, the All-Father, in a sense, is the only thing standing in the way from him wiping out all life in the universe. Like, just being done. Like, hitting that full stop. Using the nuclear option. And that's essentially, that's what the setup of King Thor is. That is what's going to happen. It's Thor figuring out how to fight Loki, figuring out how to fight this All Black. The three young, his granddaughters are scouring the universe for answers, or they're on kind of this detective mission. Of course, they're dealing with their own shit because part of what the All Black can do, it's not just condensed into one body. It sends out these, they call them ravens. It sends out these like attack dogs, essentially, and they're being attacked. They killed the lesser god, who, by the way, was the god of bombs. And so he just pulls out
that. You remember the god of bombs from Norse mythology, right?
God of bombs.
So he whips out a box of grenades and blows up Omnipotent City. And of course, Thor feels the reverberations of this, and like it's one more thing gone out of his universe that he was helpless to prevent. He's worried about his granddaughters because he knew what they were doing, but his granddaughters are fine. They're going to come back. So that's kind of the 30,000 view of this. So I want to go a 30,000 foot view. I want to go around the table like we always do and get kind of your opinions, thumbs up or thumbs down on this being a new story, and see what you guys thought.
Yeah.
I was just lukewarm on this. Thor is an interesting character for me. I really, really like the character of Thor when he's part of the Avengers. But as soon as you take him out of the Avengers, my interest level plummets. Because what I like about the character is he's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He's so self-absorbed, but that's hilarious to me to watch him interact with his teammates in the Avengers. Like the last Avengers issue I read, for example, he refers to it as, it's like, I can feel it in my god bones. And of course, the Hulk is like, why doesn't he just say bones?
Yeah, we all know you're a god.
Yeah. And that's great. I love, but as soon as you take him out, and because then I've tried reading standalone Thor, and I just can't, it just loses me. Okay. So, the structure of this book was great. The art, of course, was great.
Yeah.
The dialogue was Jason Aaron knows how to write a story, knows how to write great dialogue. I haven't been reading the Thor series, but I knew what was happening in the book. There's no artistic complaints to this book. It's just the character itself.
The subject matter.
It just is not compelling to me in this setting. But I can't beat up what it is for a piece of work. It's a great piece of work.
Nice.
So I think I'm probably the resident Thor guy on the show.
I think so, yeah.
Not that if you'd asked me 5-6 years ago if Thor was in my top 10, I probably would have said no, but now he is. Mm-hmm. And largely due to Jason Aaron's run on Thor, especially the early stuff that this is now getting back to, which was the God of Thunder stuff with Gore and all of that. This book to me there's so many callbacks to Jason Aaron's run through the past 7 years. And I didn't read a lot of the Jane Foster Thor stuff. We've talked in the past about my problems with that, and I'm not going to go back over that other than to restate I am not an incel that was upset that she was a female. So the
pregnant pause for audience clapping.
Yeah, the library that ties back to Loki going there to get help to go to the end of the universe to help in a different thing. There's a lot of tiebacks to this. Yeah. I dug it. Ribic is fantastic. Mm-hmm. His faces sometimes fall a little flat to me, and they did in this book too. But that's just my style. What I like. But there were some very awkward face moments in this book. But and I find that to be true in a lot of Ribic stuff. Yeah, it's not it's not beholden to this issue. Right. It's something that happens on a lot of his work. But it's so beautifully painted and so beautifully drawn the rest of the time that you kind of just gloss over that.
Yeah. And I think you just hit the nail on the head to why it's that way, because he is a painter.
Yeah.
He is not he's a very good draftsman. I don't want to take that away from him. Right. His medium is paint. Yeah. And so when it gets down to some of these smaller details and an artist, going back to the Green Lantern, like Liam Sharp, who uses pen
fine
and
detail,
ink. Yeah. I think that gets a little choppy in that particular medium, right. Which is, I think, why. And so, 100.
But it's still a beautiful book. And as Matt said, the story is put together phenomenally. Mm-hmm. And if you've been reading Jason Aaron's Thor stuff and you've liked it, for the most part, you're going to love this book. Yeah. If you're not a huge Thor fan, you're probably kind of meh on the book. Because it doesn't have any meaning to you, probably. Right. But it's...
you're just confused about who these people are and what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, somebody pointed out to me, they showed me like a preview of it. Now, oh, look, it's just going to be Thor's granddaughters. And I'm like, that's not what it's going to. They're going to be in it because they were in the first part of the.
I mean, number one, I'd be okay with that.
I would too. I would be totally cool with a Thor's granddaughter book at some point. But.
Well, I mean, if you read this and you don't know what's going on, I'm like, well, you need to reread it because
it's not confusing.
No, I understood.
But you may be, if you're not reading it, you may not understand some of the references.
Right? Yeah, you may
That's
have.
all
I understand.
mean.
You will definitely have less insight, but like the character motivations, are very clear.
Right? Yeah, Aaron weaves a very, very good tale.
The only thing I would say to that point is I don't think they did a very good job. Like normally when you open a comic, you can like the whole point is to assume it might be somebody's first. I do think that they could have expounded a little bit more. They've got a lot, like it would have to be very brief and it would be very hard to do, but it could be done by a skilled writer to condense what has happened in the last year of Jason Aaron's Thor with the War of the Realms into one paragraph to give the reader who might not have read that, who might not have read War of the Realms,
even a tie back to God of Thunder, so you knew who Gore was and stuff.
Just like one little paragraph would have been nice, but I didn't need it because I've been reading that book, and I'm fit somewhere in between the two of you. I was going to make a joke about how I liked it and it was good, and what you guys said was right, and just be done with it, but I'm not gonna. But I sit somewhere in between that, and here's why, because I am not I'm an Avengers mark. Like I love the Avengers. That's my group. Thor has never, like Thor is part of the Trinity of the Avengers, but he's never been my favorite part of that Trinity. And with Thor, I like the iceberg theory. Like and it's kind of what Matt was saying in the Avengers, he brings a whole history of Asgard and living as a god to the Avengers, but you don't see all the details of it. And it's kind of cool just to infer at what he's talking about. It's that 10% floating above the water gives you a clue to what's happening with the 90% below it.
I can see that. I can see that draw to him.
But I am a major Jason Aaron fan, which is what got me on Thor as a monthly book for the first time in my entire life. Kind of actually right when the Jane Foster stuff was happening. Like that's when I first signed on. I've never been a Thor, like I've never read Captain America solo books. I've never read Iron Man solo books. I've never read Thor solo books. I've read the Avengers. So this was the first time.
I've read a lot of all three of those solo books, and you're not missing out on a lot for the most part. They are better Avengers than they are.
Yeah, the ones that I've read, I would agree with. I mean, there's obviously
there's always stories within those that are standouts, but yeah.
But having been such a fan of what Jason Aaron can do, I really have liked this solo story, and I enjoyed War of the Realms. Like I've enjoyed all these little bits that he's done. I even enjoyed his Infinity arc. That was really what kickstarted this whole thing with Thor becoming unworthy, which is the part that you don't like about it.
The original Sin stuff.
Yeah.
And
I'm really curious about what Jason is doing with this sense of the alpha and the omega of the Marvel universe that he's actually created in the Avengers. And so you see like where all of these like totems of characters started. And in this one, you're seeing where they like at least Thor ends. So I'm curious about what he's going to do. I don't love this book. I love the art. Like I said, Esad Ribic has my heart. Like I've picked up books based on his art alone that don't have anything to do with like Marvel characters. I love the dude's painting. I love his covers on Conan. There's not a lot. Even that book Versus, which ended up being a really stupid story, but the art was gorgeous because Esad was on it. This book I wanted more from, simply for the fact that it was just a Launchpad book. And again, this is kind of what we talked about last week. I feel like this is the second or third Launchpad book that I've gotten in a row for stories that I've been reading. And I really hope that we were going to just get into it because I really do feel like we rehashed a bunch of stuff that I already knew about Loki, that I already knew about what was going to happen. It unpacks it is what I'm trying to say. Like, but as a reader who's had that, I didn't need it unpacked. As a reader who maybe has never read that stuff, like I see why this book is here. I'm really excited about the second issue. I really want to know what's going on with that because, like I said, structurally from a craft aspect, it's good. Like the way he's bouncing back and forth, the way you've got like your main antagonist over here, and you've got like the trope of having a smaller party over here doing things, having pinpoints in different places in the universe.
It feels very much like a fantasy story.
He's got his formula down, like flat out. He's got his formula down, and
And there is a fantastic Loki story in here that's kind of told in the middle of the battle. So it's not like its own, like, oh, let's cut back and give an origins to how Loki got here. It's just told while they're battling, where he has to eat his way out of a world.
Oh, dude.
Because Thor imprisoned him there, which ties back to the Norse mythology of Loki being tied and having the venom, snake venom dropping on him his whole life.
Well, and not only that, but we're dealing, like, in this book, you're dealing with Loki and Thor. You're dealing with two of the major tropes. And when it's kind of like...
This is not MCU's Loki for those people that watch the movies. This is Loki at his worst, not as the anti-hero.
But what I was going to say in that, like, this story's been told 1,000 times, right? Loki versus Thor. That story's been told over and over and over again. This book does not feel stale. Like, their fight does not feel stale to me.
The difference is that you've had Loki versus Thor thousands upon thousands of times. I'm, hyperbole here, but you've had this story told a lot, as you said, but you've always had Thor holding back because either his love for his brother, that maybe he'll get his shit together, his love for his mom, that he didn't want to break his mom's heart and kill her other son, and his respect for his father.
Yeah.
For taking in this bastard child and raising him as his own. He always held back. What you don't get in this is Thor holding back.
No, he's the gloves are off, man.
Yeah, he's had enough of Loki shit.
It broke my heart when he was like, Frigga died ashamed of you. I was like, damn.
But then he followed it up with saying, now I'm the god of lies.
Right. That's
After
true.
Loki couldn't hear him, and I assume that had to do with that, not with the fact that there was a couple of things going on there. One where he was crying and saying that he no longer cared, and then but I think it had to do with the Frigga thing too.
On paper, this is a story that I could find very boring. I could find. I did not. Yeah. On paper, if you say, oh, it's a Thor story, Thor's really powerful, Loki's a bastard, they're going to fight about it. At the end of it, and again, spoiler warning, so you can't yell at me. At the end of it, he's going to throw the bad guy in the sun yet again, because Thor throws people in the suns, and another badass villain from his past is going to show up. On paper, that's a boring story. That's a boring as fuck story. Like it's a story we've got 1,000 times. Jason Aaron is so goddamn good at what he does. He can tell that, and it's compelling, and it's got me hooked, and it really, really, really has me wanting to know what happens in the second issue.
Yeah.
Because especially now that we're done with the launch pad, you've set it up for everybody else, all the people who haven't been reading your Thor story, all the people who might not have understood what was going on with future Thor, that you get a little bit of explanation in with War of the Realms, who these granddaughters are. That's done. We don't need to know any more about that than we already know, and we can get into the meat and potatoes of the story. That's got me excited, man. Really, really excited.
I will be sticking on it, but this again is the culmination of what Aaron's been doing. So for me, I'm excited to see how it ends. And it's, he's also launching his Valkyrie stuff right now, which is phenomenal. So
dude, that's I kind of thought I was going to read that and be very disinterested very quickly, but even that's got me
phenomenal.
Did you guys notice on the opening title page that, and I just noticed this, Thor is sitting on the throne and his arm is the arm's gone. So if you've been reading this book, Thor got his arm cut off, and he's actually had the arm of the Destroyer, using it, which he can wield, he has the perfect thing. In that one, he's sitting on his throne and his arm is gone.
Yeah.
For a while, they replaced it with a golden god arm or something. I don't know. I just think it's funny that he's sitting there with an eye patch and no arm.
Yeah, I mean,
it cracks me up.
Which we're getting now throughout Aaron's story. Because when they introduced Old Man Thor in God of Thunder, when he had to get the young version of himself and the old version to go fight Gore, you're like, wait, why does he look just like Odin? Mm-hmm. And now we know why he looks like Odin because of all the shit that's happened to him over the past 7 years. And I'm wondering if whoever comes and plays in the sandbox afterward is going to do some changes to Thor.
I think every writer does.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
No, I mean, as far as giving him back his arm and giving him back his eye and stuff. Because current Thor doesn't have his eye anymore.
No, that's true.
He lost it in War of the Realms. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was that. It was that or the lead up to it.
Yeah, it's fantastic,
it
man. I mean,
really. And this is like you said, this is a culmination of this is the culmination of 7 years of work. Was it last week that I talked about reading the final issue of Jason Aaron's Thor? That title's done. Like Thor's going to get his own title. Like somebody else is going to take up that mantle, do great things with it. I want to say that Aaron has been working on Thor, at least telling this like setup for this Thor story for 7 years.
7
now.
years is what I read. Yeah.
This is I'm not sure how many issues this is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be 12.
I think it's 6.
Is it 6? Yeah. This is the road home, and I really can't wait to see how he ends his story, how he ends his Thor story, even at the end of time.
Well, what I love with it is he's not playing with current Thor right now.
No,
he's giving us the end of it. This is the end. I've told you the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm telling you the end. Somebody else can come play what happens between my part and this part, but I'm giving you this. Now,
he's untethered.
Yeah.
He can
do
tell
whatever he wants because if he kills Thor, he kills Thor. It's not,
right.
It's
the end of time.
It's future. It's
it. He.
I hope that if that happens, we see Midgard, and everybody's dead because that's where it's headed, and Hulk is standing there.
Oh my God! Yes.
Because that would lead to the Hulk, the end, or whatever it was called. The Hulk, the end, where he's on Earth and. The
he's
Martians
just walking.
Keep sending,
yeah, he's just walking and he can't die. Oh my God! Like you just made my pee hard. Talking about that.
That would be an amazing way.
No,
to do it.
for sure.
It would tie in some other Elseworld stuff.
And he's essentially got editorial permission to do that. The reins are off with this. This is a what if story that can have continuity.
It's a what if story that's happening in continuity.
Yeah, like this. Fuck. I mean,
because anything can change. I mean, they change timelines all the time. So.
They really do.
I mean, he may be living in one of Moira McTaggart's timelines.
One of the 13?
Yeah.
Or the 10?
11?
Something like that. They keep changing the number on me. Yeah. Speaking of that book, we can't get in that book.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it could be...
So I mean, unsurprised. Like I said, I've been reading Thor, so this is obvious. Like, I'm not going to stop reading Thor now. This is on my pull list. I'm going to keep checking it out. I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm like Jason Aaron, Esad Ribic. What's not to love? Gods of Thunder, 3 bombshell granddaughters, kicking ass, taking names. There's a god of bombs. So, what's not to love about
there
this
was
book?
A god of bombs.
And you're getting really compelling stories with lots of hyper violence, and that to me is Jason Aaron in a nutshell. Like, he's what I call a heels to Jesus writer. The way he writes Thor, the way he writes Conan, the way he writes just anything. It's like he's the copper. Like, okay, you write really, really compelling, for me, hyper masculine books. Make me want to put my heels to Jesus, stick them up in there. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I get it.
I was like,
yeah, Jason Aaron can get it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
Because he's an amazing writer. I'm sure we just lost like 7 listeners.
Nah, if we did, fuck them.
I don't have heels. But speaking of the Hulk, this is good chance to segue.
Yeah.
So I told you earlier we were going to talk about politics in a minute.
Yeah.
Britain's got some shit going on right now. Boris Johnson, who is the Prime Minister of Britain, apparently compared himself to the Incredible Hulk the other day, and somebody launched a petition to launch him into space. Number 1, Britain, I love you. Whoever did that, raise your hand. Be proud.
Yes.
And again, like, I don't want to get into I think Boris Johnson's a nut job, but I don't think he's any more nutty than our personal nut job that we have here. But like, just the fact that like he compared himself to Hulk, and a comic nerd's like, well, we launched Hulk into space. Let's do that to you. That was great.
Speaking of off topic, have y'all noticed that the Anheuser-Busch is now ripping off Spider-Man's?
No.
Have you seen this?
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You haven't seen what their new quote is? Their new tagline? With great beer comes great responsibility.
I wonder if they had to pay anybody for that.
So as somebody that grew up in the 80s and you kind of had to hide your geekdom or be picked on and stuff, part of me is proud that kids no longer have to, but then it's like, part of me is also like, everybody should have to pay their geekdom dues.
Yeah. I mean, the world makes no sense. I heard the Danzig song on an NFL game the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like,
the world has gone to shit.
Yeah, it's like, this is crazy.
Look,
I knew it was that way when I walked into a department store a while back, and geek clothes were under pop culture.
I mean, dude, they
Hilarious.
sell Ramones shirts at Walmart.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude,
those are
that's
two things that
insane.
are antithetical.
It's insane.
They're antithetical. But at the end of the day, look, the geek has inherited the earth. Like that's where we're at. Like,
for us geeks.
yeah, and so I mean, like it's hard not to be. I also don't want to come off as a gatekeeper, but I do that sometimes too, where I'm just like, you don't actually know what the fuck you're talking about. But I don't want to. I just think it's really.
Like I said, I'm really happy that it's a thing now that people can. I mean, that Anheuser-Busch can take a Spider-Man quote and make it their their tagline, and people not only are okay with it, but understand the reference. That blows my mind.
It's amazing.
I don't like this. I mean, this is not necessarily a good idea, guys. Like,
I'm not.
It's number one. It's Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to be telling a bunch of drunk rednecks to go be Spider-Man, which is the message that they're inherently.
I disagree, friend.
do we want?
I think it would solve a whole lot of problems.
do we want a bunch of dudes jacked up on Busch Light and Bud Light
trying to climb
swing
walls? Yes,
buildings?
I'm all for. Yes.
Say something else. This whole thing's coming around to start going. One of my favorite things to do now is when I'm talking to 15-year-old kids. Is accuse every one of their favorite bands of being Satanists.
So
I love doing that in front of like my parents because that's the kind of stuff we had to listen to.
Yeah.
What's this?
Yeah.
Heavy metal?
Yeah.
Do they worship Satan? I love doing that. My nephew's favorite band.
Why is there a pentagram on the cover?
21 Pilots, 21 Satanists? That's what I love to do.
My brother got drunk at my daughter's wedding.
I was there.
At Tanya's
I
wedding.
remember this.
And my daughter-in-law, Lily, drove him home because we had to split up cars because we had so much stuff to get home. She drove him home, and for the entire ride home, he told her how she only has blue hair because of his punk days.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, my gosh. I would have loved to overhear that conversation.
Old man yells at field.
It was amazing.
What an incredible.
I mean, I don't know that it was the whole ride home, but he definitely brought it up.
What an incredible time
I can just see him just sitting there like one eye closed, like trying to throw up as the car goes around. I am blue hair, me.
Oh gosh.
Speaking of news, guys, what else has been going on in the world? What's been happening?
Been some shit.
Lots of crazy stuff. Anything in particular you want to talk about?
I got Oculus Quest. That was a whole lot of fun. Finally played Vader Immortal. And
Tell me about this. I don't know about this.
Yeah, so this is a virtual. It's been out since Comic-Con is when the Star Wars convention. I can't think of the name of it right now. But
it's in Chicago.
Yeah,
right?
they had it in
Celebration.
Chicago. The Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, y'all know how the biggest Star Wars fan at the table, right?
Yeah, it launched at Celebration, and it's only available on the Oculus VR because it's actually produced by Oculus. So it's you actually go in, you start on a spaceship, you go through hyperspace, you can explore the spaceship, you got a droid that's helping you out that actually does your interacting with other people so that because it's VR, you can't really talk and they can't really hear you, but you want to talk. And it takes you through this story, and you end up on Mustafar at Vader's castle. And he needs your help because you are part of a bloodline that can unlock this thing, and he needs your help to do that. And he's going, by the end of it, is going to train you. So it's pretty awesome. There's a moment where Vader walks up to you and starts talking to you. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you just kind of get chills. This is what the sweaties want from Star Wars video games.
Dude, I'm such a Vader mark. Dude.
And you get to wield a fucking lightsaber.
Dude.
And it's crazy because you're like, it's VR. I can swing right past the other lightsabers or whatever you're hitting, right? But you stop. It's like, you hit it and you stop. And it's your mind doing it, of course. Because there's a part where you're flying. And like I could feel the wind hitting me, and I'm like, "This is bullshit. It's all in my head." You know what I mean? But you get that deep into it. It was super cool. So
I wish y'all could see Craig's face right now. He's just
as a Star Wars sweaty. Yeah, I was 1,000% into this.
Well, that's
game.
like, speaking of the Star Wars sweaty, so we're on news. So this
go for it.
The latest, Star Wars trailer.
Yeah,
they've got the Vader breathing in there.
Yeah.
What are they fucking doing to us, man? What's going on here?
Yeah, we don't know.
Dude.
So, I mean, the biggest plot hole in the sequel series is that Anakin hasn't shown up and told Kylo Ren he's an idiot. Right? To me, that's the biggest plot hole. he's trying to mimic his grandfather to finish what he started. And Anakin, who's a Force ghost, we know that from end of Return of the Jedi, doesn't show up and talk to him and say, dude, what are you doing? I fucked up. I cost myself my family and my kids, and, I didn't have... What are you doing?
So I guess my question to that would be, can people who are tapped into the dark side, or at least sitting on the fence, can they see Force ghosts who are from the light side? Like, that would be my question as to why. Can that not happen? Because the Force ghosts, as far as I know, and I'm not nearly the Star Wars, what do you call them, sweaties?
I call them sweaties. But yeah.
I've never heard this before, but it's amazing. I'm not nearly the Star Wars mark that you are, so I don't know, but I've only ever seen like Force ghosts speak to, like, show up for like people who are on the light side.
You're not wrong. Now that you say it, I've never seen them show up. But again, as of Return of the Jedi, the only 4 Force ghosts there were the 3 that were dead in Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, he didn't show up because he had no way, Luke wouldn't have had any reference.
Well, at the end of Star Wars, it leads you to believe that Obi-Wan was a Force ghost the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Vader takes and he just...
no.
I mean, I think he becomes one with the Force.
He turned himself into one with the Force, the same as Yoda did. Okay. How Yoda didn't die and leave his body, he just disappeared. Luke, at the end of Last Jedi, doesn't die. He just releases himself into the Force.
Yeah,
which we'll see if that really happened or not.
I can't wait for the new movie. It just looks. I'm ready, man.
Dude. So yeah, I don't know if the Vader breathing is a sign of that's actually happening in the movie, or if
these motherfuckers gave me Vader breathing and don't give me Vader,
dude,
these motherfuckers
I don't know how you bring Vader back unless it's a Force ghost. Which there was something that he was trying to tie in Force Awakens, and they cut it out. But it was and it's in the visual dictionary, and it shows a picture of Vader as a Force ghost. And his face is alternating between Anakin and Vader while he's talking to Kylo Ren. Like cool. Even in death, he still doesn't have a complete grasp on his dual nature. Mm-hmm. That would be fucking amazing, because that would explain why he's like, this side of him's telling, like he's both angels sitting on, and the angel and the demon sitting on Kylo Ren's.
It wouldn't be beyond. I mean, look, Kylo Ren is essentially just a cosplayer. It wouldn't be beyond the scope of things for him to actually like develop a Vader mask that made him sound like Vader, just because he's worshiping the grounds that dude walked on. I mean,
there is a part in the Snoke book when Kylo Ren says something about Luke Skywalker, and he says, well, why? He's talking to Snoke, and he says, why do you give him so much respect? And he goes, because he earned my respect. If he were my sidekick, whatever he calls him, my student, because I'd already have taken over the galaxy.
Oh shit! He said that Snoke said that?
He said that to Kylo Ren. Like, nice. Step your game up. You aren't half the Jedi your uncle is.
I mean, hey, real recognize was real, dog. I mean,
so.
Yep.
Anyway, that's our Star Wars tangent that wasn't planned.
Hey, that's fine. So I've never played like the individual VR games, and I've certainly never played the Star Wars game just because I haven't been around it. But took the nieces. We get our nieces every once in a while. We took them. There's a place in Little Rock that it's like I don't know. They've got foam pits and you can climb things. Kids like run around and are ambulatory. I don't get it. Like, I just want to sit in one spot and drink beer while they're doing it. But they have a VR like game section that you can do it with 4 players. It's almost like a UFC octagon that you get in, and like the headsets come down from the heavens, or the ceiling. But like you put it on and you get like a gun, a mock gun, and you can pick different levels. Mm-hmm. You can do a sci-fi aliens, Star Battleship Troopers thing. There's a zombie level. There's like fun levels for kids that aren't like hype, because I played the zombie level and I'm a grown ass man. It scared the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. But there's like these little like kid friendly levels where they're like, you throw you shoot snowballs at like weird Santa monsters or something. I don't know. But so we played obviously we played the zombie level and the Battleship Troopers level, just because I'll say it was, let me paint the picture for you. It was me, a grown ass man, and like three 12-year-olds
Did you
who
get
were
your ass kicked? Because
Look,
that's usually what happens.
I just adopted the game. They were born into it.
Yeah.
These 12-year-olds
This does not give you power.
they
over
kept
me.
me alive.
Yeah.
And look, they grew up with these hyper real games.
Yeah.
I grew up with 8-bit bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, and I love the 8-bit bullshit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on 8-bit. That's what we had.
Yeah.
I am not used to this level of
playing
technology.
Pong did not prepare me for
No.
today's video
And
games.
so what you were talking about with the whole, like, you swing the lightsaber and you stop, like, this is a new experience
yeah,
to me.
it was fucking insane.
So I'm freaking out about how real this shit looks and the fact that there actually looks like an alien zombie bug creature about to impale me
Yeah.
with a horn.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3D in every sense.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is so
Wow.
immersive.
Wow.
And these other kids are like, dude, will you quit gawking and shoot the motherfucker? And I'm like, first of all, you're 12. Don't call me a motherfucker, dude. I will spank you.
Yeah, I started a spy game where you do different little missions, and you know it's not hard stuff like you're sitting in a car, you have to defuse a bomb, then you
Yeah.
have to blast your way out of an airplane and launch the car out of the airplane type
But
shit.
it's
It's
just-
James Bond type stuff,
Yeah.
and that's kind of fun too. But
It's just amazing how far the VR has come. Our buddy Jason Wood from the 11 O'Clock Comics podcast, he does this thing called Peloton. Number one, can afford it, and because he's fucking loaded. He won't mind me saying that. He knows he is. He sees his bank account. But so Peloton or Peloton, whatever it is, it's a VR bicycle system. And so it's like it's amped up treadmill.
Yeah.
So essentially, you put yourself in this immersive spin class
Mhm.
that, like, you can ride the French countryside, and apparently the bike moves with
Yeah.
you.
yeah,
Like,
it's
imagine that for nerds. Like, imagine your bicycle game, but like in the apocalypse, like you're bicycling away from monster. Like, I want that. That'll get me to exercise.
So let me tell you something. They had on here, and then we can move on if you want.
Yeah.
There's a demo on there of Creed,
Mhm.
not the movie, but
Yeah,
a
thank you.
boxing game. I fought one. I got my ass knocked out.
I thought you were
but-
VRing like Creed the band. I was going to be
No,
disappointed.
no.
Oh,
different
God.
Creed. No,
Show was
you're
over.
playing.
Show's over.
You're Adonis Creed. Boxing. I got knocked out in the first round, but fuck, I was wore out. It's been a while
Yeah.
since I've done
No.
any.
Oh, man.
because I used to spar all the time in Taekwondo, but I had. I mean, in a few minutes, I was wore the fuck out. I'm like, I'm going to buy that for my cardio.
Dude, yeah, it's no
And just do some boxing every day, and because I know enough about fighting that I could get in there and fight. But Jesus, it wore me out. And then when you get knocked out, you have to like run back to your body, and like the harder you're hit, the further you are away.
That's cool.
So
That's cool.
yeah, and by running you move your arms because you mark off the floor area where you take a
Mhm.
thing and you mark off the floor, and then it knows that area. So when you get to the edge,
Yeah, it
it
sets the
comes up and
boundaries.
it puts up a boundary and says
Mm.
move back into the game. So yeah, it's wonderful, man. I've never best console game or best console I bought in a long time. I'll be playing the shit out of my Oculus.
Yeah, we need to all go like VR this one time. That'd be fun. Back to comic news.
Yeah,
where
let's go back.
We
Yeah.
defected,
Yeah.
which was awesome. I
Sorry
love it.
about that.
No, are
Yeah,
you
it
kidding,
was
dude?
great.
I
Yeah.
think so. Number one, I love those conversations. I also think people listening to the show love those conversations when you can branch off about something you know about
Mhm.
and get into it and speak from experience. That's when the stuff.
And
gets good.
Oculus, you can send us some money if you want.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
we'll
well,
take
I'd
it.
be fine with that. They're on my Facebook.
Or
They
just
got
send us
money.
another Oculus unit.
Yeah.
Actually, if you can start up an Oculus like law school program for me, that would
Oculus
help.
Law school VR. That would be amazing.
It's almost like I'm really with the book.
So we've talked about Edgar Allan Poe, which you should do always. We've also talked about Lovecraft, which, hey, it's Lovecraft. Why wouldn't you talk about Lovecraft? Let's talk about the writer that I think you have to put as part of that trinity. At least when you're mentioning those names, that's Mr. Robert E. Howard, who's my favorite of. Well, Poe runs a close like him. Like
Yeah.
Howard and Poe for me, I like better than Lovecraft, but that's just my personal. That's just opinions.
I put them in a little bit different genres. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Robert E. Howard created, how many characters? Who like, I'm sure somebody knows the
most
exact
of the
number.
pulp characters that you're in love with.
Yeah, but I don't know all of them.
Him and Burroughs created almost all
so-
the pulp
so
characters.
many of them.
Yeah.
And that's where I say, like, you have to mention that name. Marvel is crushing it right now with the Conan books.
Yeah.
Like, even the books I didn't think I was going to like the Tales,
Valeria,
the Age of Conan stuff, I've ended up really, really enjoying. But Savage Sword and the main Conan book are killing it.
Yeah.
So it was announced this week. Actually, it was announced on September 11th, and if we're going to mention September 11th, hearts go out to New York and all Americans and the people in Pennsylvania. Anybody who was affected by that day,
yes,
we all were on some level, but
the whole country was affected.
Some of you guys that we actually know and love were affected a lot more than we were.
For sure.
Almost 20 years later, our heart still goes out to you. But it was announced that Marvel is bringing in some more of Robert E. Howard's characters. So you're looking at Solomon Kane. Dark Agnes is coming. When I saw Solomon Kane's name on there, I got giddy because I love this character. I think he is awesome. And they actually made a Solomon Kane movie not too many years ago that it wasn't very well received, which I don't understand why, because it was excellent.
It was good.
I really liked it.
John Carter, who's of course Burroughs and Howard, but that movie was much better than it got credit for.
It really was.
It was a good movie. I don't understand the hate it got. So a lot of times these pulp movies don't do as well in modern time, that's just the way it is.
What's your phrase, Craig? You're wrong because they're amazing.
It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay for people to be wrong.
It's okay. It's okay that they're wrong.
So I guess I'm really excited about this because it's Solomon Kane, and I was just going to throw out there, if you don't know who Solomon Kane is, because he's not Conan, right? Like he's not one of these better known characters.
Only because Arnie didn't play him.
That's true. If you don't know who he is and you want to know a little bit more about him, go check out that Solomon Kane movie because it really is a good taste of who he is. Or you could, this is a wild and asinine, crazy.
Read a book.
You can go read the book. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy
Do
suggestions.
people still read books?
Yeah,
outside of math,
but law school. but they're law school books.
Audible it. You can Audible that shit. Not your law school books. No, you could Audible.
Probably.
Yeah, Conan and Solomon.
They're great, dude. Yeah. Some really excellent stories there. And obviously, I'm excited about it.
Don't try to Audible Dune though.
Matt,
you got to earn your Dune.
I'm not prepared for that. That's a bucket list thing I'll do, but I can't yet.
No, don't. No, not while you're in law school.
No. So are you excited about this though, Matt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course, surprised you didn't mention this already. The glaring Howard property that's not on that list.
Which one you got?
Red Sonja.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's because they're at Dynamite.
Dynamite.
They don't have Dynamite doesn't have the rights to that, mainly because and here's why. Even though it started at Marvel, it's really weird. Somehow Dynamite has managed to hold on to that IP. Red Sonja was really actually created by Roy Thomas. She only showed up as a blip in a Conan book. She literally a one-liner that Thomas created, but the character, and she had guns. She used pistols, if I'm not mistaken. Really, Roy Thomas created that character, and so it's separated from the Robert E. Howard bank.
Are you not telling me that you're not looking for Dynamite's next version of legendary Red Sonja?
No.
Steampunk Red Sonja doesn't do it for you.
Why you got to bring up old shit?
And I really like what Mark Russell and team are doing with Red Sonja right now. But man,
that last issue.
Give me Jason Aaron writing Red Sonja, interacting with Conan.
Yeah.
Christ almighty, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Go back and read the old Roy Thomas stuff where they're interacting.
Yeah.
The banter between Red Sonja and Conan is incredible. On that note, I got to throw this in because this is do you follow Conan the Salaryman on Twitter?
No.
Christ almighty.
Is this a thing I need to do?
This is the setting is Conan's works in just a city office, and it's all his struggles in doing so. It's fucking gold. There's one the other day that's the setting is Red Sonja responding to his request for a nude pic.
Oh my god,
dude, this stuff is amazing.
I'll go follow him. I would love. Part of me would love to see Red Sonja be with this world because then you could see Red Sonja and Conan together again. Part of me actually, like you said, I like what Dynamite has done with Red Sonja, and that's saying something because Dynamite's not one of those things that I like. Everything they do is not gold. Like they put out, they put out enough bad that it makes me have to question it. But what they're doing with Red Sonja right now, as far as playing a Red Sonja, is really good. I love what Gail Simone has done with the character before. So, like, it's not one of those situations where, like, with Conan books, I was like, this needs to go.
There's a far cry
home.
between, and I like a lot of what Dark Horse does, but what they do with intellectual properties versus their own creations versus what Dynamite does. Dynamite tends to handle other people's IPs a little bit better. I feel
they do,
even though you get wonderful gems like Legendary.
Yeah, for sure.
I actually liked it, so it was. I mean, it wasn't my Red Sonja, but
hashtag not my Red Sonja.
Yeah, but it was it was a good book if you took her name off of it and just went with a steampunk book.
So you would like it if it was something different, is what Craig is saying.
that is exactly what I said. In a roundabout way. If it were named something different,
I know what you're talking about though, because I read it, and to me it was like it's kind of like this new Joker movie that's coming out.
Yeah,
I liked the book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like this movie, even though I have weird opinions on it, and we can talk about that on a later date, because I do have weird opinions on
I do too.
whether or not I'm gonna like this movie or not.
I hope I liked it.
But I like the book in the story. But yeah, it's not Red Sonja, but it's a good book.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, it's not Red Sonja. It's not Vampirelli either, or the Bionic Man, or any of those.
Speaking of things that we might not be able to have faith in.
Oh yeah, by the way, go get the Howard Pulp books.
Oh yes, I mean that. Obviously.
So what might we have faith in?
Frank Miller is a person that we might not have a lot of faith in.
Yeah,
but you know what? I don't know that I've ever read a book and looked at it and said, you're a crime against comics, except for the Superman Year One book, which was written by Frank Miller and drawn by Junior Jr., and ever picked up a book that was written by that person again. But if I do, it's going to be because it's Frank Miller. So it was announced and finally announced, because I think we had some insider knowledge, at least on one end, that this was kind of being talked about.
Somebody talked about it on WordPress, I'm sure.
Yeah. Frank Miller is doing the next installment of Dark Knight, and like So again,
the third sequel.
I can't be, but here's the thing: I had that same reaction that you're having. I had that absolute same reaction that you're having until I saw the name on the book that he's going to be doing the book with, and that's Raphael Grandpa. I'm a huge fan of Raphael Grandpa. I think the dude is
Is he
awesome.
writing the book too?
No, but for me at least, good art on a book can be a crutch for a bad story. A good writing can't be a crutch for bad art. Raphael Grandpa, if you don't know him, did you read Little Bird?
Oh yeah,
Matt.
Yeah.
His style's a lot like Bertram's.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Bertram's, and so that has me excited. Now he has not, like, if you're not in the art world, you might not know who Grandpa is. The dude is big, like he's big doings in the comic art world, but he doesn't have a lot of sequential credits to his name. Like he's worked on some stuff. He's done a lot of anthologies here and there. Like you see him popped up, but if you ask an artist in Artist Alley, like if you're in New York Comic Con, which is like what 2-3 weeks away, if you're there and you go up to an artist in Artist Alley and you're like, hey, what do you think about Raphael Grandpa? They're going to start drooling because he's that dude. Like he's good. I don't own any art by him. I would love to. But the fact that he's doing sequentials for a major book like this, Frank has found another way to get my money, like flat out. Like,
so, I mean, am I going to buy this book? Yeah, I'm going to buy this book.
Yeah,
I've bought all of the Dark Knight books, so yeah, I'm going to buy it. Frank's got to show me something. Xerxes was good, but that was his own creator-owned stuff that he went back and told a prequel to 300. I liked it. I know that there were some complaints about the art in it, but I thought it was very Frank Miller-ish. It matched the tone of 300.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, he's got to show me something again. He's definitely not Frank Miller of the 80s anymore.
No, he's not. So Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, like the more
it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, the more I think about that, I didn't like it at the time, but I think the things I didn't like about it were those elements were a product of different views on what the book should be. You had Azzarello and Miller both writing a book. And so I think when you had two creators who maybe were they wanted the book to be something different than what the other person did, and those futures conflicted with one another.
There were some weird things that happened in that book, but overall, I didn't mind.
Yeah.
It was better than the second Dark Knight.
That is not a compliment. That is a backhanded
It was
compliment.
better. I mean, what do you want me to say?
I mean, he brought in like the things he did with KING THOR. I thought were neat story elements. All in all,
it was a disjointed story. It
Yeah.
had too much stuff
Yeah.
going on in
Yeah.
it. You thought it was one story, it was a different story, and then and I think, like you said, that goes back to having two different writers on it that were wanting to tell two different stories, and
Yeah.
it was very obvious.
Yeah.
But overall, I didn't mind it. You know, I bought it, I read it. Unlike Superman Year One, that I'm not going to finish reading.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so there's that. So, and it is the Dark Knight universe that he created, and he's returning to writing it, and maybe it'll be good.
It's interesting that this is, with Superman's and Wonder Woman's child, and he's dressing up as in a Batman motif.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there is some, yeah.
we'll see where he's going with that. Because
Well-
it could be really good, or it could be really bad.
So the reality is it takes 3 years after the last Dark Knight,
Yeah.
and so this kid's still a child. I mean, he's a toddler, right? Wasn't he an infant in the...
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetically.
So he's going to be
yeah.
a toddler. So, I mean, we're going to have a book about a toddler superhero.
That's terrifying, and especially with Frank Miller's brain. But
I hope it's Brightburnish.
I still haven't seen that yet, so I can't make that claim. I just hope. I hope this is not another Superman Year One #1, because if that happens, like, I'm gonna make the statement that I'll never buy another Frank Miller book again, which will be a lie. Like, I'm a liar. like a lie. Like, I'll buy another.
We speak in hyperbole on this show,
and I'll get called out on it. I'll probably get called on it by one of you fucks, but.
of course.
But I'll have to make that comment. And so I need Frank. My heart needs Frank to get a win. It really does. Cause I mean, I love Frank. I have lots of Frank on my shelf. I love the guy. I have issues with some of the story elements in his books, but he's still like, he's Frank. You gotta,
I love
he is what he is.
Frank Miller's creator-owned stuff a whole lot more than I love his stuff where he's using other people's intellectual property.
yes.
Other
and
than Dark Knight and
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
See,
and
to me, year one is,
Batman Year One.
oh yeah. To me,
Did you finally read that?
I haven't read it yet, but I got to give it credit for being.
It's
with it.
I mixed two properties. I said Daredevil Year One in my brain.
Yeah. So outside of which I've read 2 of the stories, I haven't read Year One. So outside of those, I haven't read a whole lot of his creator-owned stuff or his intellectual property stuff that I have found.
Oh, he's
theory.
written the best Daredevil that I've ever read.
For sure.
Flat out.
Death of Elektra and all of that was on him, and some of the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and at the end of the day, you're getting Raphael Grandpa art, and that's why I'm signed on for this book, like flat out, 100%. Like, you could give me somebody I'd never seen before, and if you tell me that Raphael Grandpa has
I'm
a
gonna call
monthly
you out
book,
now. You were still going to buy this book.
I mean, maybe. No, honestly, no, that's not necessarily true. I think if there had been an artist that I wasn't.
If it had been JR again.
No, I would not have picked up this book. If it had been an artist that I was not familiar with his work, maybe not. But there are certain artists, and Raphael Grandpa is one of them, that I'm intrigued by, because I haven't seen a whole lot of his sequentials. I've only seen some of his stills. I'm intrigued by what he can do, so I'm going to pick it up. If you give me Riley Rossimo doing any kind of monthly book, I'm going to pick it up. Like, I like art that pushes the boundaries. I like art that's not just house style, and that's what you're going to get.
I think this book is going to be batshit insane.
Oh,
I'm going to make a prediction.
definitely.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be
Definitely.
It's going to be.
There's no
batshit
way
insane.
it's not going to be. Speaking of original art,
Yeah.
Did you know that you can own a piece of Garfield?
I did know that.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really cool. Jim Davis is selling something like 10,000 Garfield strips, and I haven't looked at this. I did not click the link because I'm terrified. Because I would love to own
It's an auction.
Yeah.
So
that's why I'm terrified.
yeah.
I don't have that kind of money.
If I could go to a website and buy it, knowing what I'm going to actually pay
Yeah.
for, I might be interested in. I'm not interested in buying this art from an auction where it's going to be, who knows what it's
Yeah, it's going to go.
for.
It's Garfield, right? Like this is big doings, and so I can see this going sky high. Plus, if I'm going to spend big money on a comic strip, and we had this we had this conversation a few episodes ago. Garfield is not in my top 5 of comic strips.
Now, I would get some Garfield art if I could get it reasonably, but I would much rather have Peanuts or
Yeah.
Garfield is weird to
Calvin
me.
and Hobbes.
It's a popularity
Yeah.
that I never really understood.
I much prefer. This is one of the few times where I like the cartoon or
Yes.
the show better than the actual comic.
I like the comic strip though, but I grew up in that time, and I was one of the dudes that had the Garfield hanging on my window in my car.
I had when I was a kid, I bought the Garfield.
And I was a
books.
teenager.
Well, I say kid. Well, I'm talking. Talking the same language here. I bought the Garfield books. The collections.
Yeah.
And but it was not. I don't really understood the popularity
it's hit
that it
and miss.
that it
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
I loved the cartoon.
The cartoon was my
Loved them.
thing.
What
the
about
cartoon was my
the
thing.
Bill Murray Garfield movies?
I watched it.
Didn't tune in.
Because it was Bill Murray. No, it wasn't the cartoon.
Yeah,
Um,
the cartoon was fabulous. The
dude that did the
strip.
voice music, what his name was, something music.
Yeah,
His last name?
it's how you
Amazing.
and when you read a Garfield comic
Yeah.
strip today, you still listen to it in his
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
Well, and not only that, but you even had the Garfield and Friends, like the way they split it up when you went to the farm animals. Like I loved that as much as I loved the cartoon.
Those are
That
good.
Sheldon, the guy who never left his egg, I'm that person. I would never leave my egg if I didn't have to.
Yeah, I
Ever.
mean, again, I would get it, but there's other comic strip art I'd rather have.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I have a
It's-
Spider-Man piece of comic strip art
Mhm.
that I rather enjoy owning, but there's some other ones I'd rather have.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that you've ever shown me your Spider-Man comic strip.
got it last year at Comic Conway, and I'll bring it and show it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to see a picture of that.
Yeah.
I want to check that out.
Yeah.
And they announced some more books that are coming out, and we'll run through these real quick because they're also stuff I think, at least I'm excited about. I don't know about y'all, but
I'm excited.
Well, I am. Daniel Warren Johnson
Hear that,
is.
Toad?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I don't know about you.
I'm excited. Fuck y'all.
It's already decided we don't like these books.
Yeah.
No, I have faith that y'all have good taste. So I know you will. Daniel Warren Johnson is drawing a Wonder Woman book that's going to be on the Black Label.
Yeah.
Now,
He's writing it too.
Yeah.
yes. Well, and previous stated opinions about Black Label existing still stand. I still think it's stupid.
Uh-huh.
Just got an asterisk next to it.
But they have put out their first couple of offerings did not impress me to the extent, but they have put out a few other books. I also don't understand why they're putting out some of the books they're putting out under the Black Label. Makes no sense. This one I get. And because it's going to be like this post-apocalyptic look at Wonder Woman. It's called Wonder Woman Dead Earth. And that should be Black Label, right? And it's Daniel Warren Johnson, the guy who wrote fucking Murder Falcon and drew fucking Murder Falcon. Like, yes. Are you kidding me? Yes. This is big doings. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm in my mind. I'm picturing Wonder Woman in Mad Max universe.
Oh,
that's what
horror.
I'm hoping it is.
Just 100%, dude. Like,
yeah, and I want like the bass player with fire shooting out of his.
did you read Murder Falcon, Matt?
I started it, but I dropped off.
Boo!
Yeah,
I boo
know.
you, sir.
I know.
I
I
boo
knew that
you.
was coming.
Boo you! You got to read it, man. I'll bring it to you.
1,000 boos to you
Yes.
and your offspring.
Which is a line that would be in Murder Falcon, 1,000 boos. It's great.
Yeah,
And I own a piece of original art. Like, here's the
Wow.
thing, it's a book that, again, like we were talking about with Jason Aaron, he can write something that's really tropey. Obviously, for people like us, it's meant for people who really like metal, who like rock and roll, which is not, but is often perceived as like a very masculine arena of things. But I mean, it doesn't have to be. But it can also make you feel like that book both made me like crank up my tunes to 11, throw the horns to the gods, also cry because there's emotive scenes in there. It's
it has
great.
fifis in it. You
Yeah,
won't like
it does, but the
Hey,
fifis are metal.
Hey, just don't shoehorn your fifis in.
No, it's
I'm
not
okay.
shoehorned. It's grand.
Don't
it's given.
shoehorn your fifis into my Batman.
It's
for
given.
example.
Don't make me give a fuck about
Yeah,
Bat and Cat.
Batman. Yeah,
Or Alfred, for that matter.
yeah.
But another thing that got announced that came out is the Tales from Harrow County book.
Yeah.
Going to be written by Tyler Crook. Obviously, Cullen Bunn's got some stuff to do with it. Well, not Tales from Harrow County. Harrow County was probably my favorite book for about 3 years running. Like, I absolutely loved that story. There's nothing about it that isn't just meant for me. It's Southern Gothic, witchy, really awesome girl, like girl positive story, told Southern Gothic horror. Like, there's Cthulhu elements in it. There's just all kinds of just weirdness. And at the end of each of the single issues, Tyler Crook actually wrote these little 2 or 3 page stories that were called Tales from Harrow County. So they didn't feature Emmy. They just featured some of these tangential characters or just mythos. Like, it was world building. And now they're taking that and they're spinning a new thing out of it. And like, it made my heart so happy when I saw this. Number one, because Cullen Bunn and Tyler Crook together are going to make magic. Like, they've made it before. Those two work really well together. And also, Tyler Crook is a good writer in his own right, and I'm glad to see him getting more like writing credit, not just doing the art. But I do want more of his art. I gotta say that. Like,
I feel like I'm that meme of Dave Chappelle with a crack on his face going, "You got any more of that crack?" That's the way I feel about this book. Get any more of that Harrow Candy? That's the way I feel about this book. Yeah.
Well, I double dipped on. Like, I have all the single issues and I have the hardcovers.
Yeah, I didn't buy the hardcovers, but I loved Harrow County, and I don't know what Cullen Bunn's level of involvement is going to be in this, but I'm sure it's going to be outline and something. You know, he's going to be involved.
It says they're co-writing it. So,
yeah.
and, I mean,
usually that means one does the outline and one does the script.
Yeah.
In either way, I'm totally fine with it because it's those two working on Harrow County again. So
Cullen Bunn puts out so many books. For me, I think he's got like a 75-25 rating. Like, he puts like, I'm going to like 75% of what he does, and it's just a sheer numbers game. This is something that he is involved with that there's no way that I'm not going to really, really enjoy it. Naomi Franquez is doing the art on the book, and she's the artist from, I've seen her work on Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I know she did a book called Misfit City. She's kind of got it's not the same style as Tyler Crook, but it's in the vein of, so it's going to fit in well with this mythos.
Like the water painting style. And all
I hope so, because I mean that's one of the things that made me love Tyler Crook's art. And it looks like she does. I'm looking at some of her
cover
art.
Looked to me to be that way. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're getting those little gremlins back in. I'm just excited. Man.
Yeah, it just looks like good fun times in Harrow County.
I'm glad to be back, dude. I love
because Harrow County. Did you read Harrow County?
Oh
yeah.
That's one of those I passed on that one because of the publisher, and I'm like,
we'll fix that.
Yeah.
It's
a good Southern horror book.
Yeah.
You can read it after you finish reading The Last of 100 Bullets, which I'm going to bring you someday. I promise.
He's reading his Journey into Madness.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Is he going to make it out the other side though? Who knows? Who can say?
I mean,
these things?
if you're already a little bit mad when you enter, you're probably safe.
We're all mad down here. Well, you guys got any more news? You got any more news that we need to bring up?
All the news fit to print.
Yeah. I mean, there's other things obviously that happen, but I mean, as far as anything that interests y'all,
Time constraints, man.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to.
There is one last little bit of news that we're going to bring up. So this is going to be the last quote unquote news episode that we're going to do. We talked to some folks who listened to the show, and Craig and I also got together and we're talking about how we think everything's going. When we only bring up news once a month, we inevitably miss a lot of stuff. And then when we try to fit a month's worth of news into one show, we don't get to talk about everything we do. And
well, stuff that happens next week will already be way outdated by the time we get to our next news.
Folks who, if you're listening to this show at home, stuff that got announced 28 days ago, you already know about.
Yeah.
Like, you've already read about it. Why do you want to hear us talk about it? I mean, if we bring it up, cool, but I mean, it's not really news anymore. So we're going to stop doing that. And if there's anything that goes on that we just want to talk about, like, I think
we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah, I think we can
have some open dialogue.
Yeah.
It won't be a new segment on the show. We're not going to have that anymore, but we will be talking about big events that are happening in the geek world. Yeah.
Because I mean, like you said, time constraints. And so I mean, I get the good thing about that is you're going to get more comics. You're going to get more comics content.
And the other good thing about that is we have a Facebook group where we post all the news links.
Faux show. And
we will totally interact and communicate with you guys in those links. Well,
yep.
2 out of 3 of us sitting here will.
One knew that was coming.
We're going to work on that. And
eventually.
I mean, and you know, Jerry's on the show, or you know, Jerry's over there. Sean's still in there. Like, there's all kinds of. Lily is in there. People that you've heard on the show before, like all of our guests, like Wendy and Bill. All of them are in there. Brian's in there. So like it's a little community and always talking about stuff. And you should go join that. And so RIP the news episode. We're still going to have a listener question episode. Like we're still doing that. But from the way it looks right now, it's just going to be once a month. Like 3 weeks, you get awesome comics, which is what we love. That's the important part. And then once a month, we'll get to the listener questions, which is very, very thought invoking. And I like it.
and we're going to. If we already talked about it, I believe, but we're doing the theme now for the listener questions.
Yes. So
which we started on the Facebook group chat.
Yeah. So. To extrapolate on that, instead of like trying to field the ball for, look, y'all are interested in a whole lot of stuff, and I respect the hell out of that. Like, I think it's awesome. It's really hard
to put together a show
to play all the bases when it's everywhere.
And have it flow. Yes.
Yeah. And so we like. If you go to the announcements page, which is also where you can find the episodes that we put up, we do put them on Facebook, which if you're listening to this does you no good. You already know how to get to them, but you can tell a friend.
Yeah.
If you go to the announcements page.
You can phone a friend too.
Yeah. Yes, you can. Not me, because I ain't giving my number out. But there's a question section.
I'll post it on the Facebook group chat.
You bastard. And the theme for this next month is, I want to say it was monsters. Didn't we come up with it that it was and literally you can ask us questions about anything related to monsters. What's your favorite?
We've got some good ones already.
Oh, dude, what's your favorite book? And because we're going to do once a month themes, I do have to throw out a caveat. We are not going to get to all the questions. We are going to be selective about the ones we pick. If yours doesn't get picked, there's no hate there. Like try again next time. Well, like. Tell you what,
I'm sure we'll recycle through some of these themes.
We will, but
probably
tell you what,
every October we're probably going to have a
for sure
monster theme or a horror theme.
But I'll make a deal, like, and we'll strive to do this for the questions that we don't answer on the show. We'll go answer on that thread.
Okay,
like it's a deal.
I can do that.
Yeah,
Matt won't. But
well, that's fine.
Me and you and Jerry and Sean will.
Yeah, like, and anybody else can too. So we'll put an asterisk by those, and we'll get to the ones that we didn't answer. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So, down to do that?
I'm down with it.
Fuck yeah. All right.
It means more homework, but whatever.
Look,
we do because we love our listeners.
I'm saying, at this point, the 5 minutes out of my day that it takes to do that
totally
is refreshing as shit.
I love answering listener questions. So yeah, that's not
I do too, but I'm serious. Like, school is hell, and like you folks listen to this show, you dudes sitting at this table, y'all are the only thing keeping me sane right now. It really does, like being able to like check out of school and jump on there and talk to nerds and talk to comic lovers. It's keeping me floating.
Well, we're glad we can be of assistance. But
you are free therapy, friends.
And a little, insight on how the sausage is made. Stuff behind the scenes is the news episodes are our most behind the scenes work that we have to do to put out.
Yeah.
For Caleb, especially, who's trying to go to school right now. So there's multiple reasons that we're changing the news. Not that we don't mind putting in the work to put out a good show, of course, but we have to be smart on where we put that work.
Hey, we're still putting in the work. We're just spreading it out over a month.
That's right.
So still the same quality.
Yep.
Just every week instead of just once a month.
Yep.
I likes it.
For sure.
Speaking of every week, I'm just Segway King today.
You are Segway King.
Just bam.
We're going to have to buy him a Segway to drive around.
Every Wednesday. I hate you so much
White
for that.
and nerdy.
Did you know he was in concert here?
Yep.
Yes.
I did not know that was going to happen.
I did not go.
Visited a sick fan in
I
the hospital.
did see that. That was
he's
cool.
An extremely cool dude.
Oh, man. Super, super nice guy.
Well, every Wednesday, Weird Al Yankovic talks to the gods and they put out new comics. And that's how it happens. 100%. If you don't question my authority.
His gruff voice.
I'm not sure. I don't know what he's a little bit omnipotent. He can do what he wants. But new comic books do in fact come out every single Wednesday, and we don't know if they're going to be good. We don't have that inside baseball. We can guess though. We hedge our bets and we kind of try to set the menu and we give you some. It's kind of like when you go to a new restaurant. You're like, "Is this good?" And they're like, "I don't know, but it might be. I think it should be." My past experience.
They always tell you yes.
Well, they do, but like if you're asking me as a friend,
gotcha.
I'm not going to let you eat bad food. I'll just tell you my experience from reading comics. This may or may not be good, and so we're going to tell you guys to some books that we think will be good.
Yeah,
because why not? Why would we not do that?
I'm not going to recommend a book that I know is going to be shit.
Right.
I'm going to recommend one that I'm interested.
I mean, there are people that I would do that to. Like just to be petty.
Well,
But that's
there's
just
also
me.
people that would recommend books that they're not gonna.
And there are those people who only talk about books they hate, but we're not them. So next week, if you peruse your local comic shop shelves on a Wednesday or any day after that, or you go to your online retailer, like maybe discountcomicbookservice.com or Midtown Comics, all of which if you can't tell, I'm begging for sponsorship. Please do that. You are going to find a new comic from DC Comics that is going to be called Inferior 5, and it's written by Keith Giffen, Jeff Lemire, and Michelle Delichy.
You suck.
It's the reason I didn't pick that one. I knew somebody was going to pick
Craig,
that one.
I just derailed Craig. Sorry. That's what you get for your segue comment, asshole. This one, dude, I mean, I just said it. Keith Giffen and Jeff Lemire, and nothing against Michelle Delichy. I just not necessarily familiar, but Keith Giffen and Jeff Lemire, dude. The citizens of Dangerfield, Arizona are beset by strange goings-on after number one, they just use the phrase goings-on, and I respect that. After the invasion that rocked the DC universe, but only 5 misfit kids seem to notice them. Can they uncover what's happening before some sinister force collects them all? Who knows? You'll know after Wednesday. This is a 12-issue series that I'm on board with, man. 100%.
I'm super excited because Inferior 5 was typically written as a parody. But to see Lemire write it as a straight up serious story, I'm super excited.
Well, I mean, we're guessing. He could throw us a curveball. It could still be.
Nah.
It could be straight up, and it could be a parody story like that.
It could be.
That could be cool. But yeah, man, number 1 comes out, like I said, 12-issue series. I think it's gonna be the hotness. I'm about it. What you got, Matt?
Oh, man. I've got one good one for you. Pay attention, kids. From Verotic Entertainment. Verotic. Yeah, that's right. It's a combination of violent and erotic. See what he did there? Verotic Entertainment.
Go home.
All right.
Go home, Matt. You're drunk.
So from Verotic Entertainment comes Satanica versus Morellas Demon #1. Satanica faces the brutal onslaught of Morellas Demon sent to destroy her. Can even Satanica face the massive might of one of Hell's most powerful enemies? Story by Glenn Danzig and art and cover by Simon Bisley.
Yeah. Really?
Just when you thought I was done. Also, an Infernals tarot card section with art by Glenn Danzig.
No, I'm sold.
You said Simon, really? No.
Can we possibly do a greater show after all these words I've just said?
No.
Can we possibly get that book at our local comic book store if we haven't pre-ordered?
I was sitting here in my brain going, how the hell did you find this book? But then you said Glenn Danzig,
and that's how we found it.
Simon Bosley. And like, I have not heard about this. This is cool. And
I can only assume this is a moral tale for the ages.
obviously, this is going to be the most compelling story of the
Ever.
year.
Yeah.
Ever.
This is going to be
And if it's not, Glenn Danzig will sue you.
This is 100% going to be on the Golden Geekery Awards this year. Like I'm calling it now.
Telling you.
Calling it now.
If we can find a copy of the book, yes.
Well, Craig, what you got, brother?
I picked Inferior 5. No, I switched here, and I'm going to go with You Are Obsolete, #1. It's Aftershock Comics, and it's Matthew Klickstein, Evgeny Bornyakov, and Andy Clark working on it. I think I said
That last
Evgeny's
name was a lot easier to say than the others.
Yes, for sure. So, a journalist goes to a mysterious, isolated island off of the coast of Europe somewhere. And on this island, it's basically Children of the Corn. You have children killing all the adults before they reach the age of 40.
No shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick this up.
Yeah. So, there's obviously a reason and some stuff that happens that she has to find out. And there's some stuff that's going to happen. And
Best synopsis ever. There's reasons and stuff.
I mean, I'm reading their synopsis, and I don't want to give too much away. So,
For sure.
I know. I couldn't help myself.
Obviously, the journalist has to figure out what's going on,
Oh,
and that's what I meant by reasons and
It's
stuff.
good and you're going to like it. And it's good.
Yeah, it is good, and my opinion's the same as yours.
So, you know what's a little fucked up? You know what's funny? I picked
I'm laying
Inferior.
over here, Dad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I picked up, I chose Inferior 5 because I had it on, it was my #2. And when Jerry is not feeling well, he's a little bit under the weather, which is why he's not here today.
I picked it because I knew I was going before Jerry.
I only decided to go with that book because I didn't think anybody else but Jerry would pick that book, and because it's totally a Jerry book. And so I picked it, and then I totally stole yours. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. If Lemire's writing it, I figure it's going to be a very Runaways type story, even though they're not Runaways. I figure it's going to have that vibe. So
most likely.
Yeah.
All right, we ready to bring this thing home? We're ready to land this plane.
Sure. I mean, it's pretty well been off the rails the whole day. So
OG phone
and fun off the rails.
Yeah, I liked it. We're not going to answer that because that's not our job. It's the store is not open yet. Sorry.
Yeah. Call back when they're
those
open.
of you who are. I'm just going to stop.
Let that run out.
Yeah.
It's probably Tony. He's giving you a list of things to do, even though you don't work here anymore.
Okay. All right. For those of you who have enjoyed this past, I'd say about an hour and a half, we really hope you have. We do it because we love. We've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the hell out of it. You know where you can get more of this stuff at. We've already told you. You can swing by our Facebook group page. If you want to see what we're reading, you can check out, like a lot of times we're posting panels and stuff on our Instagram page or talking shit on our Twitter page. We're at SFG Podcast on both of those. You can like us on YouTube. You can follow us. We put out everything there. We put out little videos every once in a while that are like extras. We call them side dishes, which are really fun. Last week we picked one. We each just grabbed a random expensive thing from a local comic shop and told you about it. So we're doing all kinds of cool stuff. Lots of places you can find us. You should. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, maybe you're worried about Jerry's health because he's not here today, or maybe you're worried about me talking about law school too much because that's all my life is right now. You can bitch about it. You can shoot me an email, southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com.
He's too busy to read.
I don't check that email, so send it away.
3 years. He'll get
Send
back
it
with
away.
you.
I check that email once a week. Do what you got to do, boo-boo. You do you. But no, seriously, shoot us an email if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Tell your friends, man. Tell your friends about the show if you've been enjoying it, if you think that they would like it. We would love it. We'd love to grow. We'd love more people to jump in on the conversation. If there's types of comics that we're not talking about, you can let us know, and we'll remedy that, man, because we really do want to put out a great show, and we're always interested about finding out about more stuff, like growing and expanding as comics readers. So, man, if nothing else, go forth and love some comics. Woo! Good job, Craig.